Is your small business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. It's where we interview strategic entrepreneurs who inform and inspire you on your solopreneur or small company journey. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show.
Hi, and welcome to the program. Glad you could join the show, the Grow Your Biz Show. I am Paul Madsen, host of the program, and this is episode number 76. Before we chat with Amy Neiman, I'd like to thank our sponsor for today. ActionCoachOmaha.com is the global leader in business coaching for small businesses and businesses of all sizes. If you need to clarify your business and if you need to have some accountability in your business, contact Jim Barger at ActionCoachOmaha.com. Now on with the program. Amy?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming out. Yeah,
Yes,
Amy Neiman of Center Sphere Organization. I'm pleased you could come out today. It's a thrill. You're out in the public a lot. This is nothing too new for you.
Yeah.
But you are the area director for Center Sphere.
Yes, I am.
Well, that's terrific. We're going to learn all about that. I'm going to jump right in and ask you, what business are you in at Center Sphere?
Sure. So we are a nationally recognized professional networking organization, but it's not just about the business that we do. It's about those trusted personal relationships.
I see. Yeah.
So it's kind of a modern approach on networking.
Okay. A modern. What does that mean? A modern approach?
Modern approach is that it's not just your traditional weekly meeting and that's it, and those are the 30 people that you hang out with all the time. We open it up to our whole network. So in Omaha, we have 800 members. We have 50 chapters here locally, but we have 1,600 members nationally.
That's terrific.
So we open it up. Even if you have the same industry as somebody else, you can come as a guest to a group. You can present at a different chapter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me back up a little bit. You're getting way ahead. You're a fast runner. That's good. I got to keep up to you. You said one key word there, trusted business relationships.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
So it's about the relationship. It's not about the sale. And we understand that makes the business come eventually. If you trust somebody, you like, you trust them, you're going to refer them to your friends and family and your other business colleagues. If you don't trust them, then you're not going to give that really good referral. It's going to be not a good connection.
That's right. Did you say know, like, and trust?
Yes.
Did you? I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that's a very popular phrase out there right now. And I mean, if you think about it, I mean, knowing somebody, I mean, nothing happens without you knowing them. I mean, there's a lot of internet noise that you can pay attention to, but it helps to know someone, right? And trust.
Yep.
Well, first, like, I guess.
Yeah.
I may know you, but I may not like you.
Correct.
I mean, not you. I know you, but I not like you. Then nothing much is going to happen.
Right.
And the last one is what?
In trust.
Trust, and define that a little bit in a business relationship.
In a business relationship, I mean, the business will come if you actually trust that person. I'm not going to give a referral to my parents if I don't trust this person because they are going to say what they do and follow through and actually give them a great business service and then hopefully follow up later afterwards.
Well, yeah, and it is all about trust. I mean, well, yes, people buy millions of dollars of goods and services over the internet every day, but it's just better when what I see. I'm a member of Center Sphere, and so I'm a testimonial person. I belong out west there at the Carlson Burnett building. We meet on Fridays, and it's an awesome group. Come on out as a group.
It's a great group.
It's a great group.
It is a great group.
Amy visited, and here she is on the show afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's terrific. Anyway, the point is that it's just it is a place where you know, like, and trust people, and I think it kind of goes well. That goes to my next question. I mean, why did Center Sphere get launched? Why did a little bit of history and a little bit of what's the philosophy behind it?
So it started with just a handful of folks that wanted a different approach on networking. Okay. Not that they had to go to the weekly meetings and bring a referral or bring a lead every single week. That just sometimes doesn't happen. It depends on your business if you're able to give those referrals. So we wanted a place where it was a safe place for people that were seasoned networkers or brand new, fresh on the scene, to make it feel comfortable, that you can just come in and get to know people.
Right.
And then you want to build those relationships, build those referrals. Every person knows 250 people.
Yeah.
So you've got a network of 1,600, everybody knows 250. It might be somebody in Center Sphere that they refer you to, hopefully as a member. Otherwise, it might be somebody that's not even a market for Center Sphere, so that you're referring them out of their
I've
group.
heard that before. Everybody knows 250. They say, well, prove that, or how do you know that? Well, if you have a wedding or a funeral,
right?
Well, you don't send out invitations for a funeral, I guess,
No.
but generally, 250 people in that circle. And
Yep.
I mean, tell me about the name. Did you ever hear any of the history about why it's called Center Sphere?
I don't know. I will have to ask Brett Boyer, who's our CEO.
Well, so Brett had the philosophy of this next level of trust is kind of why he got this started then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, and the know, like, and trust, the philosophy behind it, that's all a little bit great. Well, tell us about, Amy, there are lots and lots of networking organizations.
Sure.
I was going to say, before I ask that question, when you talked about different philosophy a little bit, I have been to other networking groups and organizations, and a couple of them were just really stiff.
Yeah.
I mean, one, for instance, was you had to bring your referral, or you had
Every
to
single
bring
week.
some kind of business, and you had to log a certain kind of transaction.
Yeah.
And if not, you had to pay a fine.
Yeah.
And I go, whoa,
Yeah.
that's hardcore. Maybe that discipline is needed, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's good, but
And most groups have a structure. Every single chapter gets to make their own culture.
Yeah.
So they can define it if it's more laid back or more structured. We do have a digital dashboard that does track all of that. Now, the member's responsible for tracking their own. Some members do it, some members don't. Some really want to see the ROI on their membership, so they do track that. And some presidents really kind of tout that as part of their group, or maybe they have a chapter name like Money Makers, and so they bring in the money or that kind of thing. And sometimes it's the fun group, or they get to define their own culture, and the members make that up.
well, that's neat. And the organization, the corporate office, encourages that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, you want to kind of see if you're getting something out of membership, but the only way you get something out of your membership is if you do something.
Yeah.
So if you go to meetings, if you go to the network-wide events, if you go to do a one-to-one with somebody, and get to know them as a person in a human relationship-based wise instead of just their business. You get to know, are you from the area? Are you married? Do you have kids? What do you like to do for fun?
Right.
It's all about that personal connection.
Sure. Well, and that's the key. That goes back to the philosophy we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was starting to say many different kinds of groups, organizations, masterminds, you name it, online groups, Facebook groups, and so on out there. What makes Center Sphere different than all those groups? What's the differentiator that Center Sphere itself as an organization brings to the table?
So I think it's the personal, trusted relationships is going to be different than everything else. Now, with all we have going on in the world with social media and advertising and marketing and everything like that, we play well with every other group out there. We are members of all the chambers. We encourage people to be members of multiple organizations, whether you're on your PTA, whether you're a soccer dad, whatever it is. Have as big of a network as you can. I mean, that's going to just benefit you in your personal and professional life. But that's those trusted relationships, being a part of that big network, and encouraging you to be part of other organizations as well.
Well, that's neat. Some of the others I've visited before, two things. One, I got to remember my thought. The second part I was going to say was they seemed like they were more closed, like they wanted to, this is your group and you will be loyal to us only. Whereas I see that with Center Sphere, the more the better as far as mixing and going out there and spreading it all out, and the trusted relationships and so on.
So let's say your best friend's going to move and you know two of the best realtors in town. Giving them the option to have two of the best realtors versus one. They can interview them, and then they can find out what works well with their personality or with what they're trying to get out of the deal. If you give one, that's great. If you only know one, that's great.
Right.
But then, sometimes it just works out that, they can find the right one for their family. And then you feel good about doing that service for them.
And, not to stomp on social media, it's here to say,
No,
obviously,
it's wonderful.
but I just was looking at the Centersphere group on Facebook recently, and someone asked, I can't remember what it was, a photographer, a realtor, I'm not sure what, of the Centersphere group. How many are in the Facebook group, roughly?
So we have about 800 members in Omaha, so about 800.
But the Facebook group?
Yeah, like 750.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Almost everybody's in it.
yeah, almost everybody. And you have to be a member to be on the private Facebook page for Omaha.
Right.
Now, Centersphere total, you don't have to be
Well,
a
it
member,
was
but-
exciting. It's not exciting, but interesting.
Yeah.
It was exciting to see how so many people stepped up to say, hey, well, talking to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. All of a sudden, the person that asks the question has 4 or 5, trusted
Exactly.
type of things. Because why? Because they get that philosophy from Centersphere, right?
Yeah. And my garage door froze, this was probably 3-4 weeks ago when it was really cold here. And I texted Brett and I said, who's garage door person? Because we didn't have that as an industry type on the dashboard. And he sent me Ed, who was amazing, and was there that day, got me out of my garage, hooked me up, and I would have not known that if I Googled it.
Right,
or,
right,
we don't have phone books anymore.
Yeah,
so.
who wants to Google that? Because you get so many options, and in the top, 4 or 5 are ads.
And you don't know who's local. You don't know if they just kind of
Yeah.
come in through, if there's like a flood or storm or something like that. All these other folks come in that are not local, and they don't treat you like a local person. So,
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, and that, again, we're a broken record here, and I'm not sure someone as young as you knows what a record is, but
I do.
A broken record, keeps going around and around.
Yeah.
The theme is trust. I think we'll have to title this episode something with trust.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out to me real loud and clear. I went to that other group once, and not more than once, but I sat there. I was a visitor. You go around the circle, you introduce yourself, give your 30-second pitch or whatever, and that was really about the only talking I did to anybody at that whole meeting.
Yeah.
Now, I know different groups have their different cultures, so you've pointed that out, but everybody, I felt like I was in a family reunion. Everybody's brothers and sisters, and they're not going to talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
I know at our group, we were very intentional about welcoming new people and making sure that they I think I said last week, well, you should join our group. Very, very proactive in recruiting. Do you see that kind of spirit in a lot of the groups?
I do, and I think the convenience factor is huge too.
Yeah.
So if you live out west, you work out west. You live downtown, you live in Council Bluffs, Sarpy County. That it's convenient for you for those weekly meetings, but you still have access to the other 50 chapters to go and present.
Well, that's what I really
and be a
like, and
guest.
I think that. I didn't join several other groups, but a Chamber of Commerce, or I love the West O Chamber of Commerce. They're great. However, if you join that, you have access to that group, but with Centersphere, you all of a sudden have access to all sorts of other people, and that's a really cool thing. Tell us about the dashboard.
So we have an online digital dashboard. It's proprietary through Centersphere, and you can track your ROI, but you can find a member. So if I'm looking you up and I couldn't remember your last name, but I just put in Paul, I could find all your contact information. I could download your V card. It would go directly to my phone. I could send you a message, which would also copy to my email, your email. So we can communicate that way. You can find out all of our events. So let's say you want to go on Wednesday mornings. Well, there are 15 chapters that meet on Wednesday mornings. So you're going to be as busy as you want to be. And especially with your industry, it's not a lot of people do what you do.
Right.
So you could go on a speaker rotation and you can go talk
And
about
I
what
need
you
to do more of that.
You should.
Well, I've been to. In fact, I went to visit another Centersphere chapter. It was over at the American. I can't remember the name of the chapter. Michelle, oh my gosh, Bakery, Omaha Bakery, last name?
Kaiser,
of course. How can you forget Kaiser with a bakery? Michelle Kaiser, I met her there, and guess what? She's on the show.
Yeah.
And so she's been on the show for several episodes ago.
She's on Shark Tank too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? When was that?
This was a few years ago.
Oh, I didn't get into that with her. I can't
yeah,
believe I let
yeah.
an interview sit in front of me and I didn't get that. We talked about how she walked Madonna's dogs and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And lived in the building with John Lennon or things like that. But
so cool.
we didn't get into the Shark Tank. I can't believe it. At any rate, and then also at that same chapter meeting, I met another young lady who also was on a different episode of the show later on too.
Cool.
She's since gone on to do something else, but she was her own business and organizer and things like that, and did a great show, great advice for people, lots of inspiration.
Yeah.
And all that was because I met two other people at a different Center Sphere meeting. And that's the kind of thing you encourage, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Center Sphere is how many years old now?
9 years old.
9 years old,
yes.
and Brett had the
2010.
vision way back when
Yes.
for doing that, and it's growing. And again, how many chapters across the country?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. 1,600 members across the country.
1,600 members.
I couldn't tell you the amount of chapters. I know we have 50 in Omaha,
Yeah.
and I think 34 in Lincoln. And we have an
50
awesome,
different chapters and 34 in Lincoln.
Yeah, so 50
So
in
that'll really give you a lot of variety about what.
Yes, and we have an awesome rural director named Lana Anderson, and she's starting chapters in some of the smaller communities like
Awesome.
York, Grand Island.
Yeah.
Those. We also have an awesome area director in Des Moines named Erica, and she's expanding that. But
Sure.
but we are in Tulsa, Phoenix, New York, Chicago, Salt Lake is our newest location, and then a few others. 11
Yeah.
networks.
Wow, well, that's terrific. And
Yeah.
where I'm going with the question is, I mean, you started with one, and people talking over a cup of coffee about what if we did this.
Yeah.
But obviously, it expanded to 1,600 members nationally. That's kind of fast growth, and I mean, even if it's 9 years,
Yeah.
it's still good growth. What speed bumps have you heard? I mean, you're fairly new to the organization as an employee.
Yes.
But as a member, you've been around. But what speed bumps have you heard from the team there
Sure.
that they've encouraged along the way? What ones are you seeing
I
now,
would
and
say-
how, as entrepreneurs, is the
Yeah.
question? Do they handle those kind of things?
So we're in the business of people, right?
Yeah.
And so people will surprise the heck out of you both in good and bad ways. And so, getting people to really do something with their membership, that's really the only real big hurdle we've seen is if somebody just joins and expects things to happen,
Yeah.
it's never going to
No,
happen
no.
if you don't meet people, go to events, go to your weekly chapter meetings, whatever that looks like. Shake some hands
Yeah.
and be genuine and listen and
Yeah.
not just try to sell your
Right,
business.
right.
So those are kind of some of the speed bumps as far as like retention, but I
Well,
think
yeah,
we're getting,
in these,
Yeah.
a lot of these area people are volunteers, right?
well, they're.
I mean, the
so-
area.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
area directors are independent contractors, but I mean, they are, the ones that we have right now are incredibly amazing, and they're really wrapping their arms around every single member, whether they're an independent member or they
Sure.
are a member of the weekly chapters. We just want people to feel comfortable to network, and we want people to feel confident that they want to continue that membership.
Right,
And so we
right.
have a program, the Free with Three. If
Yeah.
you refer
Yeah.
3 people to the network, and that's nationwide, any chapter,
Sure.
you get your next year's membership for
Right,
free,
right.
and that rolls over. So let's say you do 2 this year, 1 next year, then it'll roll over.
Sure.
So we want lifelong members,
Yeah.
and it's a very inexpensive membership rate. It's $29.95 a month.
Yeah.
So very inexpensive, especially for those small business owners.
Right,
too.
yeah, because cash flow is an issue sometimes.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any better, you said earlier, ROI, return on investment, than those relationships that are delivered that way.
Yep.
You said, going back to what you said about, people are people.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the people, of those chapters, I mean, let's pick on Omaha and Lincoln, the 50 and the 34 chapters that you have in eastern Nebraska. The people who head up the chapters are volunteers.
Yes,
And,
yes.
and we'll talk about what benefits they get, of course,
Yeah.
but, if you're an entrepreneur and you're building a business a lot on volunteer labor, tell us about the I guess you did a little bit, any unique things that happen with that?
Every chapter gets to define their own culture, as we
Right.
had said, and so some are more structured, some are a little bit more laid back. Some people are attendance Nazis, and some people are not, and that's okay.
Right.
It depends on what they want to get out of the group. So we, as corporate employees, get to help help the presidents kind of define that
Sure.
and help, kind of be the bad guy if we need to be.
Yeah.
This is important because otherwise, there's 5 other people that want to get in this group
Right,
in
yeah.
your industry. So
Yeah.
if you're not attending,
Right.
or at least just letting the president know you can't make it, or find a sub, which you
Right.
can on the Facebook page within like 2 minutes.
Right.
Hey, I need a sub for next week or whatever.
Sure.
Just being present and actually being engaged. I'm not saying you have to bring referrals. Eventually
Right.
that happens, but just being engaged in the group. So sometimes you just can't engage people.
Well,
They're just
yeah, I mean,
they're kind of on autopilot.
Well, everybody's busy. Everybody
Yeah,
has something
exactly.
something going
Yeah,
on, and
yeah.
they'll tell what you do for.
Yep.
I think a good differentiator for Centersphere is what you do for the leaders. I mean,
Yeah.
the training and things that goes on for
Yeah,
them.
so anybody as a member of Centersphere has access to free sales and leadership training here in Omaha. That's a 4-week program with Steve Tornaton, who's incredible, and he holds you accountable for that 4 weeks. Typically, they do morning meetings, or let's say your chapter wanted to do it and forego your weekly meetings for a month, he would come to you. But that's offered. So our presidents get free membership after 6 months of being a president.
Oh, wow, okay.
They can organize.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay. Maybe I'll be a president.
You better, kick Darren out of there. No, I'm just kidding. He's wonderful.
He's too good at that. We don't want him to go.
So they can decide how they want to structure their chapter. So if they want a VP, a secretary, and those kinds of things, they can have that. It's not required.
What kind of topics do you train the directors on?
So we have a quarterly presidents meeting. Presidents and vice presidents are invited. Unless they can't make it, then they send somebody else. But I mean, everything from leadership to dashboard training to how do you get your members engaged. Let's practice our 60-second commercial.
Sure.
There's a lot of different learnings. I send out a message to presidents and vice presidents every week, just some 5 bullet points of here's an idea for networking engagement,
Right.
or things not to do at a network-wide event, or
Things we've learned along the way.
Yeah, things we've learned along the way as experts in networking. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but just kind of just learning tips.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like it's a fun new environment for you.
I love
I've
it.
been there a few months
Yes.
is all.
Yeah.
What did you do before this?
So marketing recruiting is my background.
Okay.
And I think those pretty much work very well together, because if you're talking about your company, you're talking about the people, and you're talking about why is important for people to work there or be members or those kinds of things. And I've absolutely loved it because I've been a member for 7 years before. So, and
Okay,
I've known Brett,
sure.
Jessica, Brett's wife, Jessica, for 10 years. And
She's involved in the business too.
and she is.
Okay.
She's an advocate for us, and she can talk a little bit about being her own business owner and why it's important to have a network.
Yeah.
And she's done
Good.
that on some videos for us.
That's cool.
But they're just entrepreneur, amazing people that
terrific.
that love helping people.
Sure.
So that's another piece of why I absolutely love it, is because they're so giving and so sweet to me and my family.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If I hear your background correctly, sales and marketing, well, you've got a couple of years of selling relationships
Yeah.
in a different setting.
Yeah.
And now you're just doing that on steroids.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, well,
Yep.
you bet. Let's talk a little bit about some of the nonprofit and service
Yes,
orientation
yeah.
of Centersphere.
Yeah. So one of the coolest things that we've seen in the last couple years, we want a nonprofit in every single chapter. We would love that, and we want local nonprofits.
We have one. We have Rejuvenated Women
Yes.
at our group.
Yes.
Allie is awesome, and it's an
Yes.
awesome organization.
Yeah.
It's neat because it adds just a cool component to it,
Yes.
because we all get so caught up in trying to earn money and grow business and sell, and well, wait a minute, she's got a story of amazing stories, and,
Yeah.
and we have to stop and think about these other things. So I think that's a great philosophy.
Yeah, so about 2 or so years ago, we had 2 nonprofits represented. Now we have about 34.
In the chapters?
In the chapters, in
Wow.
the Omaha chapters. And I would have to do research on the national ones.
Sure,
I can find that
right,
out.
no.
But we raised over $100,000 last year for local nonprofits in the Omaha area,
Wow.
which is huge. I mean, just because chapters get together and they host events, we raised over $19,000 for Grief's Journey last year at the golf tournament.
For what?
Grief's Journey.
Grief's
It used to be
Journey.
Teddy Bear
No,
Hall.
I just wanted to say it
Yeah,
slower.
yeah, sorry. Fast talker.
Yeah.
But it it just feels good because it's bigger than us, right?
Yeah.
It's bigger than us and our businesses and our day-to-day mindset. It's about the community, and being able to help those folks is awesome. We just named our nonprofit recipient for the golf tournament this year, which will be Chariots for Hope.
Okay.
Michelle and Jason Hurt are amazing.
I had Monica Simpak on the show not too long ago.
Oh, yeah.
And she was a photographer for that event. And
Yeah.
I got a plug for Monica. Hi, Monica.
Yeah, she's great.
The photos she took at that event, we talked about on the show that she captures the essence of these events.
Yeah.
And she really did. I felt like I was there, and I felt I could just feel the emotion from Chariots of Hope.
Yeah.
Awesome organization. Anyway, I'll let you go. I'm talking more about that.
No, I mean, we're just so blessed to have so many members that want to give back. We're doing a network relief fund for the flood victims.
Yeah, tell us about that event coming up.
So that will be on April 23rd at your chapter at Carlson Burnett. Everything's going to be donated. You can go to any local access bank and write the check to Network Relief Fund. We're working on the online capacity, but I think it might just be checks and cash. But it's all going through the bank. So Center Sphere doesn't touch any of the monies, and we're hoping to raise $100,000 by April 30th.
For flood victims.
Flood victims.
Yeah.
And so everybody families that have lost it all, their homes, their cars, their photographs, everything.
We talked a lot at our last meeting about flood, and Cyrus Jaffrey of Jaffrey Insurance and State Farm, member, he's been on the show, hi Cyrus, was talking about how oftentimes insurance covers the dwelling, the building, but guess what? Nothing inside.
And
so when you say replacing everything, that's
my parents live in Waterloo, and they were very blessed to not get flooded, but they don't have a basement, and they can't have flood insurance because the water table out that way is too high.
Yeah, it just is. So
well,
that's an awesome event. Again, when is it?
April 23rd.
April 23rd,
yes,
coming
at
right up.
Carlson Burnett.
Give you 30 seconds to tell us where Center Sphere is going in the future.
Oh, it's so exciting to be a part of it right now because we are just growing and growing, and there's so much engagement. We're helping out so many people, and these other markets that we're in, they come to us, or they have a family member or friend that's in those markets, and so it's just going to continue to grow because it's about authentic relationships, and then the business comes.
Yeah.
And so
well, and that
face-to-face interaction.
What we started talking about today, and it's where we end up
so
today.
So much more fun and important and engaging.
Well, it is, and it's just fun to watch at our chat. We have about 20, 25 members in our group, and watch how, if someone is injured or something, they go to the chiropractor group. If someone needs a mortgage, they go to the mortgage lender. And one day we had the mortgage lender, the realtor, and the insurance guy all sitting next to each other by accident. And someone said, "Well, if you need the realtor and you need the insurance, you need the loan, just boom, 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 right there, everything's right there."
And they all work well together.
And they really do,
because they know each other on such another level.
Well, if you need to know, like, and trust someone in your specific business market, then Center Sphere is a fantastic outlet for you for joining and being part of it. I think we've told you some of the fun stories of that so far. Amy, I appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Welcome. Come back anytime.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show. Join us again next week. In the meantime, visit growmedia.com to learn about how I can help you discover your greatness and the market niches that want that from you. Take care. See you next week, and go out and grow something.